I'm Lydia.
I'm Ed.
We're friends with a playlist for everything. And it turns out we both have one called Survival Songs.
And it got us thinking, what are other people's survival songs?
So we thought we'd find out.
Welcome to Survival Songs,
A podcast where each episode our guest tells us about a song that gets them through the best and worst of times.
Sensitive topics might be discussed.
So look after yourself.
The show contains portions of copyrighted material.
We'd love for you to support and celebrate the artists by streaming, downloading and buying their brilliant music. And go give our guests a follow on social media.
Help us grow the community of survival song listeners by joining us over on Substack and add to our public playlist on Spotify. Links are in the show notes.
We hope you enjoy the show.
Welcome to Survival Songs, I'm Ed. This week's guest is Danny West. I met Danny back in March and he was one of those guys that I immediately got on with. He's funny, warm, generous, committed, and just one of those big-hearted people that when he walks into a room, he lights up the place. He's also one of those people who looks to build bridges, and he's quickly become someone who I really trust and will go to for advice and thoughts on things. For those of you who haven't had the pleasure of working with Danny, he is an artist manager, a record producer, and the publishing manager for Come Play With Me Records, a Leeds-based independent label who support up-and-coming artists. I genuinely thought I knew what Danny was going to choose. I was like, the first time I know what someone was going to choose. But he honestly came out of left field with this one, and I'm really glad he did. This is a beautiful piece of music. So let's hear a little bit of Danny's survival song before we talk to him. This is Rain by Sunday Service Choir.
So just rain down, Lord, please, let your love fall like rain, just rain, Lord, please.
So that was a little bit of Rain by Sunday Service Choir, the choice of today's guest, Danny West. Hello, Danny.
Hello, how are you?
Thank you. I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for choosing such a beautiful song and such a spiritual, beautiful, uplifting track. Tell me, when did this first arrive in your life, and what did it make you feel? What was your sort of overriding emotions?
Yeah, totally. So I found this track on TikTok through someone who's kind of doing a cover of it, and I didn't know what the original was, so I kind of scrolled through TikTok forever to kind of find who it was by. Then I came across Sunday Service and that kind of project, and when I heard that original, I was like, wow, I just felt such a village community loving feeling from that song, and it was a hug for the ears kind of feeling.
So how long ago was that, do you think?
I'm gonna say June last year, maybe. Yeah.
So it's quite a new arrival in your life. So sort of.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a new arrival because I think when you did approach me about a survival song, initially I was going to say J. Cole because I've been listening to 2014 Forest Hills Drive for the past 9 years. Has it been out? Religiously, I've been listening to the live version and the studio version. Yeah, so it's definitely a recent change up in terms of what I reach for in times of need. Having
spoken to you before, I know how much J. Cole and that album means to you. Why has this sort of become such a big part of your life?
With Rain, it's such a integral part now because within the space of 4 minutes or so, the entire feeling that I got from J. Cole's album, I get from that 4 minutes. And it's such an emotional journey that it takes me on that I've just been reaching for that religiously.
I mean, speaking of religiously, it is obviously a big religious record and faith-based. Does that tap into that stuff that's kind of fundamental to you then?
Absolutely. I think growing up, it was all about, going to church, singing the praise of the Lord essentially. And it's quite nice because I've been quite distant from that in my adult years. And that project by Sunday Service has brought me back to God within a way. There's a higher being at play in terms of life in general.
What makes it your survival song? Why specifically survival?
Survival more so this year when, unfortunately, one of my best friends passed away in January. And that was the only song I listened to for 2-3 months. And that was one of the first times I've kind of dealt with a death close to me. So I kind of didn't know what to do or how to feel or who to talk to. and all these emotions. But I think Rain just absolutely consolidated my feelings, and like it was my outlet to cry, laugh, be joyful, and like all those feelings were just in this one song. And I think that's probably why it's now my survival song.
And how often do you find yourself reaching for it now? Like, because obviously that takes you to quite a specific time, but is it something you still, and does it take you back there, or does it actually just help you connect with that kind of the good stuff?
Yeah, I think I want to say at least once or twice a week it's on my Spotify, and now I've got such a weird connection with the song, and that's why I still want to call it my survival song, because at times it takes me back to that moment that, you know, I lost my friend. But then it also takes me back to moments of last year when I'm celebrating massive wins with, you know, the artist that I manage. And that's the song I'm reaching for, to feel the gratitude, like almost like the gratitude of the Lord in a way. So it's kind of two pronged, but I can't enjoy that.
You're involved in music in such a wide array. You know, you're a manager, a producer, you work with Come Play With Me, brilliant label. But do you think you ever will kind of find yourself making kind of spiritually based music? I don't know. Or do you think it does come in there, but it's just in different flavors?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've just come off the back of producing an EP for an artist called Graft, who's a rapper from Leeds. The last track on his EP is called Golden Child, and that was heavily, heavily influenced by gospel and Sunday service. And that was like one of the first times I've like put gospel into the music I create, because traditionally I kind of make UK rap and, you know, drill and trap, that kind of sounding stuff. Whereas this is the first time, you know, we got a choir in and I've composed their bits and we're doing violin bits, and it's kind of just felt like we're in a church in the studio, and that was a first for me. But also, like, you know, to tie it back around to that survival song, it's almost a survival album, because gospel just takes you to another dimension entirely.
Yeah, it's sort of like it's so weird, because as a music, like obviously it's so steeped in faith, but I think it's one of those that like I think it speaks to all of us, right? You know, you think of like, I mean, for me, like Amazing Grace by Aretha Franklin, which is, you know, one of the greatest records ever made, regardless of it being gospel. Like, and it reminds you that, like, because I'm not someone who has a kind of traditional faith, but like it reminds you that you are one part of a universe.
I think it just connects like spiritually. I tend to like separate the spirit and the faith. So I feel like a lot of the work that Sunday Service do, and Rain in particular, is a spiritual song. Yes, they're talking about Jesus and the Lord and stuff, but on a deeper level, I think it's all about connecting spiritually rather than your faith in whoever your faith is in.
And I think that that sums up in a lot of the work you do as well, isn't it? Because like, you know, because me and you've just sort of worked together a bit this year, and like what I can see your entire role seems to be in life is like just building bridges, right? Connecting up the dots, right, between people.
100%. Like you just said, like I think we spiritually connected before we even spoke about money or whatever, publishing or whatever it was, and then everything came after the fact. And I think I've been lucky enough that my life has just been that. Like I've been invited and done crazy things just because I've connected with people on a deeper level than just, you can do this for me, I can do this for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And back to sort of the song, is there a bit in the song? Is there like a moment in the song you're like, yes, that's my bit?
Oh, it's the intro, you know. I can't even. And then, this is audio, right? So people can't see my reaction. But like, like the first 3 seconds of like, da, 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 da. Oh my God, that just transports me into like, I want to say like a monk level of meditation. That's when I just become one with the sonics almost. and I'm just like entrenched in what's going on. Like the amount I've listened to that song, I feel like I could probably sing it, hum it, mime it word for word, lyric for lyric, melody for melody. Like,
And what really blew me away was the arrangement of the vocal. Like, they're so tight, and it's so like, and like it's gospel, but it feels like it's like sometimes like it's been sampled almost, like, because it's just so like cuts in and out, and they're all like moving between each other. It's like a dance almost.
it's such a reflection of like traditional black music from the roots and the core, like going back, you know, to African music that's, you know, call and response, and then to hear that kind of transfer into something like Rain, where you've got the tenors doing one thing and then you got the sopranos just absolutely going wild in bits of the song. It's like, yeah, like, I don't know, black culture's in me, and I love it till I die. And this is a true representation of what we're capable of.
So a lot of the music you work in would be seen as traditionally white music, I suppose, like indie music. And so, like, how do you ever feel like you're like, guys, you know, there's like another flavor of music sometimes? Do you ever feel like that?
You know what? No, because a lot of, like you said, a lot of the music I do, you know, come across and work on as a part of my like daily job has an influence of soul and R&B and hip hop and blues. And it's only when I like really listen to it, I'm like, you guys don't even realize that you've been influenced by hundreds of years of culture being poured into this. So I'm very respectful of like the music that's happening now, although I'd love for it to change. But I definitely respect it, because I think without knowing, people are, you know, taken from Martha Reeves, from Whitney Houston, and not even realizing it in their genres.
But isn't that kind of like incredible about music, is that it just like it's when someone is singled out as like, oh, this person invented this and changed everything. And as much as they might have like had massive influence, they are just an amplification of everything that's gone before them, right? And they might have amplified it differently, but ultimately they've taken something that's already been and built on it, right? And that's not a bad thing. That's not criticism. That's actually the beauty of music. It's just an amalgam.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's a tricky one, because I guess there's a lot of people that say, you know, don't disrespect a certain thing, or, you know, you got to do it this way, you got to do it this way. I don't see it like that. I think everyone just needs to take it in their own stride. If people like it, people like it. Like, I don't think anything should be gatekept in the music industry, because I'm hearing post-punk tracks with jazz shakers in. So I'm like, yeah, man, this is working. This sounds flavors to me. So let's leave it alone.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's interesting because this particular act we were just talking about, this, obviously they were on tour with Kanye.
Yes.
And obviously with his music, particularly his early music, which was, you know, like for me, he brought so much of that stuff in, like to his music. But obviously they've gone off and done their own thing, and just that kind of way the music just follows its own pathway, and it's never just a straight line, is it?
Never a straight line. And I think Kanye did such a great thing to platform gospel. Like, you know, he stood in the middle of a field with like 200 people around him singing gospel every Sunday. Like, that's you know, 13, 14, 15-year-olds getting introduced to gospel and thinking, you know, Kanye's pioneering this brand new thing, but in actual fact, it's got decades and decades of history behind it. But whatever point people log in, I don't think that's the problem. I think the logging in is the most important part.
Sure. Danny, thanks so much for coming in to talk to us and sharing your survival song. Where can people find out about you, if you want people to find out about you?
I'm Danny West, as Ed says many times. I'm Danny West JR on Instagram. That's probably the main place. Come and talk to me. I make music. I'm also the publishing manager in A&R for Complaining Me Records, based in Leeds. Let's do some fun stuff.
Brilliant. Thanks, Danny. You take care, mate.
Thank you. See you in a bit.
We really hope you enjoyed the episode. If you want to support the podcast further, you can choose to upgrade your subscription on Substack. But most of all, we'd just love it if you told your friends about what we're up to. Thanks for listening.